Okay, hi everyone, and thanks for making time for us today. On behalf of everyone at Dyne365 Pros, welcome to today's Learn It Live presentation, Dynamics 365 Customer Service Case Management. I see a few new faces on the registration area today, so you may not be familiar with Dyne365 Pros. We are a Microsoft partner, and as you may have guessed from our name, we focus exclusively on Dynamics 365. Clients come to us for help automating and adding structure to their specific processes around sales, marketing, and customer service. Been doing this way back when to uh, Microsoft Dynamics CRM version 1. So we've got a lot of experience, a lot of happy customers. If you ever have any questions in the future, please feel free to contact me directly. Today we're going to look at what I'll refer to as basic customer service case management. For the purpose of today's webinar, basic is going to mean a live agent assisting a customer in resolution of an issue, answering a question, and just using the standard out-of-the-box functionality available in Dynamics 365 for customer service. The beauty of basic, looking at it from your perspective, the client's perspective, is that the customer service functionality we have now, it's very robust, it's very mature, and we can get pretty far just using those standard forms, settings, and workflows. The payoff, in my opinion, is you've got a reliable system you can deploy fairly quickly and at a reasonable cost. Yes, there are more advanced functionality sets on the Dynamics 365 service platform, things like chatbots and self-service portals, surveys, automated field service resource allocation, Internet of Things, et cetera, et cetera. And those are all great. Don't get me wrong. But the majority of our small to mid-sized organizations, the ones we work with and talk to, still need to provide a one-on-one type customer service involving dedicated customer service reps or perhaps inside salesperson that's kind of pulling double duty resolving customer service cases. Now if you have ambitions to things like chatbots and self-service portals, those are all great. Basic customer service case management provides a really good platform for you to build upon. And now a little bit of the housekeeping. All the attendee microphones have been muted to eliminate background noise. However, I do want to hear from you. I encourage you to contribute questions and comments. Feel free to submit questions in your GoToMeeting dashboard. We'll get to those at the end of the presentation. There are also 4 handouts you can download in your dashboard. There's a data sheet on Dynamics 365 customer service, a data sheet on Dynamics 365 field service, also a reprint if you're looking at Dynamics for the first time from CRM Magazine, naming Dynamics 365 customer service the leading solution for customer service case management, going head to head against notables like Zendesk, Salesforce, Oracle, and others. Lastly, there's a study from Forrester Research. It's called the Total Economic Impact of Microsoft Dynamics for Customer Service, and it's really good. I suggest you look at that. It goes into really great detail about the customer service challenges that we all face, and the results obtained by 6 firms that deployed Dynamics customer service. We'll launch a quick poll in a minute, and there will be a survey at the end of today's webinar where you can provide some feedback. Just a note, I'm flying solo today, so although I do plan to get to your questions, if you're using the chat box, there's a chance that I'll be busy in the presentation. I may not see the content of the chat. I apologize. Hopefully my audio and my visuals are working great for everybody. Okay, so let's launch this poll. Give me a couple of seconds here. And I'm just trying to get an idea of where our attendees are in respect to customer service. I'm just going to leave this open for 30 seconds, give you a little time to respond. Some of you probably use a customer service solution. Some of you don't. Some of you are working through the kinks, and we just want to get a feel for the overall environment out there. All right. So there we are. There are the results of our poll. So interesting mix. And let's continue. All right. So introduction, my name, Mark Abus. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Dyn 365 Pros. I've had the pleasure of working directly with some of the attendees today. So again, welcome. Really glad to see you're here. And then for those new faces, thank you, thank you, thank you. Always gratified for the opportunity to help you learn a little bit about the solution. All right, so I don't want to assume you're already familiar with Dynamics 365. So if it is new to you, just a little bit of background. Um, my experience tells me for a long, long time, business solutions have been siloed. There hasn't been a lot of interoperability or integration. ERP didn't talk to the service and repair solution. Marketing didn't integrate with sales, and so on. This was not just an inconvenience that still exists today, but a real pain point that produces a lot of workarounds, redundant data entry, spreadsheets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, a lot of headaches. So Dynamics 365 changes that, provides you with one connected platform for managing your internal and customer-facing processes. Not only that, but you have the freedom to deploy just the pieces and parts that you need. If you look at those 6 hexagons on the left side of the slide, those represent all the different applications that comprise Dynamics 365. You can launch them individually. You can launch them together. You decide, you choose. It just makes it a lot more flexible in respect to the way that you roll out your system. All right, so why we bothering with customer service today? Why we focusing on that? And I think that this quote kind of sums it up rather nicely. One of the most important factors in growing business is minimizing your churn rate. And perhaps you're the only game in town, and congratulations if you are. But as more and more goods and services sort of trend toward commoditization, service after the sale is going to become more and more critical to growing your revenue. There's a growing body of research that says soon customer experience will be the greatest differentiator between companies, between brands. Think back to your own experience. You probably had a bad experience with a company you buy from and said, "Hey, that's it, no mas, not doing business with these people anymore." And even the best around the most well-run and best intentioned companies, screw up, right? No organization is perfect, no person is perfect. So why not empower our agents with some basic tools that can have a big effect on their ability to manage, maintain, and heighten levels of customer satisfaction? In addition to reducing the overall cost of sales and improve customer satisfaction, so maintaining those customer relationships, customer service automation also Delivers a number of other benefits that are probably less obvious. So increased productivity from the customer service desk, better employee retention rates, which are really important nowadays. I know that it's getting tougher and tougher to hang on to good people, and the rising cost of recruitment and training, those things they're hard to plan for and reduce the bottom line. The nature of the Dynamics 365 customer service solution makes it pretty straightforward to implement your best practices and specific workflows for managing customer service cases help you get those new hires up and running quicker. Okay, enough with the PowerPoint. I'm going to pause my screen here for a second while I switch over to a live Dynamics 365 environment. Please give me a moment. All right, so with any luck, you're looking at a customer service dashboard inside of a demonstration instance of Dynamics that I get from Microsoft. So just fair warning, I call these demo environments kitchen sinks because Microsoft populates them with like everything on earth, including the kitchen sink. So I find them a little busy, maybe a little cluttered in places. Uh, don't get the wrong impression. We can always edit and reconfigure a form to just contain the pieces and parts that are important to you. Okay, so customer service. There are 10, 12 different entities that drive customer service functionality in Dynamics. At the core of these is that customer service case record, and there's just a ton we can do with it. For example, right off the bat, we're documenting and tracking the progress of case resolution from start to finish, including all of our customer interactions. We can use knowledge base within the case record to share information or provide a fix for a customer. We can escalate or reroute cases to another user or team within the organization. We can track performance against service level agreements and entitlements. We can use customer service case records to launch other processes, things like selling a replacement part, begin the process of creating a work order for a repair or maintenance job, send customer service satisfaction surveys, et cetera, et cetera. And then the data that resides in these customer service case records is really important because it provides the metrics we need to measure performance, to look at load balancing of, say, customer service cases across our support team, managing customer service staff in general. So let's start out by looking at all of our cases. All right, this is called a system view, and like all other system views inside of Dynamics, we can sort them by case title, by customer, owner, date, etc. Or we can filter them. Perhaps I only want to look at cases that belong to me, or I just want to look at the cases that were created. I need to change my magnification here, like say this year. Okay, there we go. All it takes is a couple of clicks, you just saw. So another thing that I really like is how easy it is to extract insights from the data anytime we need to. Just by clicking on this little arrow here, we can generate pie charts, bar charts that tell us how cases are distributed across our team, case mix by incident. I know this isn't easy to read, but we're seeing, what are the issues out there? Delivery issues? Are we simply looking for information? Are they product related? Are they service related, et cetera, et cetera? So again, data you can use to extract insights make decisions, run your business better. Um, so before I go any further, let's talk a little bit about how did these customer service case records get here in the first place. So let's look at this far left-hand column, okay? See these little icons? These represent what Microsoft refers to as the case origin. We can also see case origin in this column here, okay? We've got email, Twitter, web forms, Facebook, and of course, good old-fashioned phone calls. And all of these, what I call customer channels, can help drive the creation of that customer case record. Why is that important? Because we're automating a process, reducing redundant data entry, letting those customer service agents get a jump start on what the need is, et cetera. So let's look at just one basic way that email can drive that case creation. All right, so we're jumping into my demo Outlook that's connected to my demo system. This is the online version of Outlook, and I've turned on the integration with Dynamics 365. I'm using the new web-based connector, which is very, very slick. You may be familiar with the old connector that was installed on your device. The old one was, I'm going to tell you, a little bit faster, but it occasionally caused Outlook to crash, and that was a big, big problem. New connector, one of the added bonuses here is it's completely web-based, which makes it a lot easier for you to use, and it works great on your Outlook mobile app for your phone, for your tablet, as well as in a browser. And this is a sample email that I sent from my Gmail account to demonstrate how we can drive customer case record creation from external sources. So this panel on the right is kind of like a miniature version of Dynamics 365. This is what I see when I open that connector. I can create lead records. I can create contact records. I can create tasks. I can create customer service cases. In this case, this gentleman was having trouble with his printer. Now, creating this case record was somewhat of a manual process, right? An agent received, an email to his email box or her email box, and I had to press a couple of buttons to create this customer service case. Now, a more efficient way to do this would be probably to create a support@yourdomain.com email address, place it on your website. When someone sends an email to that address, that triggers the creation of a customer service case record. We can then send a thank you email template to that customer for contacting us, letting them know how soon we can get back to them, whatever you want to do. And then a queue can be created that pushes that particular case to an individual user, a team, whatever you feel is necessary. All right, now we're going to jump back into customer service to take a look at an individual case record. And oh yeah, you can see that customer service case from that guy named Mark is in my system, ready to go. So we're going to use this example from a customer we have. This is a customer of ours. Her name is Kat Francis, and she contacted us via phone. Come on, Kat. All right, here we go. She has a problem with her printer, and as an agent, what's my goal? What's my objective? I'm going to zoom out a wee bit so you can see. I'm sorry, a little more here. All right, so my objective as a customer service agent is to quickly surface the information that can help Kat with her problem. So in this particular case, I'm going to use my knowledge base tab that resides in the timeline of the customer service case record. If you're on an older version of Dynamics, I don't know that you're seeing this, but this is available in V9. Now, we can configure the knowledge base search control to automatically provide suggestions to Kat's or any customer's problem, really, based on certain fields. Now, in this instance, it's the case title. If the case title was not pulling the proper KB results, knowledge base results, I can also enter a search string in this field just above it. And as you see, we've got information on printer maintenance, printer fixes. We could also add lots of other things to our knowledge base, including solutions to common issues, FAQs, product, feature documentation, um, product data sheets, anything you want. These knowledge base articles can contain text. Knowledge base can be digital content. It can be a link to external content that's out there that's public, etc. And now as an agent, I can read the content of this particular article to the user or to the customer over the phone, or have the option of emailing it to them so they have it to keep for future reference. And let's see what that looks like. As you can see, under my activity tab, I've done just that. I've sent this email to Kat Francis. So she's going to receive that in her inbox, and she'll be back in her happy place. So obviously, KB, very cool, but these assets do need to be set up. And along with the content, you're going to want to think about putting some thought into, the appropriate titles, keywords, and so on that conform to the common issues or questions you're going to get from your customers. I don't want to look at this thing right now, but there's a real rich text editor in the knowledge base setup section of Dynamics. It makes it really easy to create beautiful documents, format them properly. You can add images, add your logo, add different links, and so on. It's really nice. And then we're stepping out of that basic agent assisted kind of idea. You can see how we're going to use this same concept in our customer service self-help portal. So imagine customer signs in, searches the knowledge base on their own, and is basically served up with that same content as I was as the customer agent when I was working one-on-one with Kat. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to jump back over here. We're going to talk a little bit about templates. All right. So let's go look at our timeline. We're already in the activity section. Now we're going to click on this little tab and some of the follow-ups that we can perform. Come on, little tab. All right, the ellipse is being a little slow. There we go. All right, we're presented with several options that include email, appointments, surveys, and etc. But we're just looking to send off a quick email, maybe thanking Kat, for her time or requesting, a customer survey. So it's fairly simple to do. You can populate this email form as a one-off or insert templates, and we can create lots of different templates that are specific to service requests, survey requests, thank you for your time, escalation, etc. And this is another thing that, again, needs to be set up, but real easy to use. So let's jump back into service management once again. And let's look at these templates. And I'm just going to look at the ones that are relevant to customer service. Just filtering my view here. And as you can see, we've got these really nice little customer templates. Case escalation, one example. We can personalize this with customer name, the customer case number, let them know who's now in charge of resolving their issue. And again, this is going to be auto-populated. I could have just chosen this from that list, that menu of templates that I showed you just a little bit ago. Again, just making it a little bit easier for our customer service people to respond. Can be done automatically. These things can be done as a one-off. All right, so a little bit about templates, a little bit about knowledge base. Now let's talk a little bit about predefined service case workflows. All right, let's make this go away. And we're back to Kat Francis's customer service record. You may have heard about business process flows. They're not entirely new. Microsoft introduced the concept a couple of years ago, and basically the business process flow resembles a bar or ribbon that sits near the top of our case record. Now, business process flows also live on other record types. They're pretty common on sales records. What these business process flows do is bake your best practice into your business process. They essentially walk the user, in this case a customer service agent, through predefined stages and steps that are required to complete this particular job properly and according to best practice based on, how your business operates and what you know to work well in the customer service department. You got the option of making these as flexible or as inflexible as you want them to be. So let's look at this one for an example. This is very basic. We've got a 3-stage process: identify, research, resolve. And then within each stage, we have little steps. For instance, find out who the customer is. This could be an organization or business, not an individual. In which case we would want that the individual we're working with, their name here. And then the next phase would be researching the issue. Maybe we need to escalate. Maybe we need to talk to somebody in the warehouse if someone's calling about a late shipment, etc. And then resolving the issue. Okay. An added bonus to the business process flow, whether it sits on the customer service entity or even in sales, is it's another place for us to pull metrics. Okay, so we can use those metrics for reporting and management person. So let's say that we have 50 open customer service cases, and maybe just knowing that there are 50 open, is not enough. We want to know what stage of resolution those are in. So we might want to know how close they are to being resolved, if they're not getting resolved. And we can see exactly where things may be getting stuck and then dive into that and see what the problem is. And it may not be a problem with an agent, could be, but it could be a product problem or a documentation problem or a warehouse problem. We don't know. And the business process flow you see here is just an example. You can choose between different processes. Okay, so this is just one. We can edit the process, switch processes, abandon the process entirely. It's all up to you. So let's go back again to settings and take a look at those business process flows. Go to the process center. And what I'm going to do is just click on one of these. This is our case. This happens to be a case to work order business process flow. You're not doing work orders today, but it'll give you an idea of what the new fabulous drag and drop process editor looks like. So this is 6 months, maybe 1 year old. So if you've been around a little while, maybe you haven't seen it yet. And as soon as my screen renders, I can tell you a little bit more about it. So this is something that Microsoft created to give us a more visual and frankly an easier way to define the stages and steps of a specific business process flow. So you can see the stages are identified here. You're familiar with the identify, research, resolve. We saw that in the previous case record. But if you look here, we've got some additional stages for launching a work order, and those are here. So again, this is baking best process, most efficient workflows into your system. And again, this is a drag and drop editor that you can use, or we can use if you need help, to define new processes, better ways of doing things. All right, we're going to leave that. Now we're going to talk a little bit about data. Data, always an important subject. Let's go just look at dashboards. All right, so when I think of data, I think of contextualizing and visualizing data for our users, for our data consumers. And there are three basic ways that we serve up that data to our users in Dynamics 365. We've got dashboards, we got system views, and we've got reports. All right, so dashboards, we're looking at one right now. This is the Customer Service Manager dashboard. And so this is the 30,000-foot view of what Customer Service Manager needs to be aware of. Anytime they sit down, let's say they've walked in, new day, cup of coffee, let's see what's going on. So we can look at active cases by agents. We can see customer resolved cases and the level of satisfaction of our customers. We can look at things in our queue. How close are we to expiring entitlements, case mix, high, low, priorities, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all there. Now, dashboards need to be personalized, and customer representative maybe not so interested in what everybody else is doing, but they're just interested in what they have to do today to get the job done. So they're going to look at, what's in their personal queue. What activities do they have to act upon to take care of customers whose cases aren't resolved yet? If I'm also a part-time salesperson in customer service, I can also look at, number of upsells that I've been able to achieve over the week, over the month, whenever. So this is kind of cool because it shows how I rank against my peers, which is kind of a sales concept. But if you're selling in the customer service department, why not give them something to shoot for? Okay. So dashboards are great, and we do have a bit of a limitation here. So we're kind of limited to 6 of these little guys, and they give what I call kind of a a two-dimensional view of our data, which is very helpful, but it may not be enough. And I don't know if this falls under the area of basic customer service case management, but we're going to step out and look at something called a Power BI. Some of you may be familiar with it already. So just a little bit about Power BI. If you're not using it now, you should really take a look at it. It's a very powerful BI tool that Microsoft has made available for very inexpensive price. So you can start using Power BI as a data consumer for free. It won't cost you anything. If you're the one modeling data, you're going to want to use a pro version, which is only $9.99 cents a month per user. All right, so maybe you're asking, all right, well, what's so cool about this? Well, you've got a much deeper dive, the ability to really slice and dice your data in, I think, a much deeper way with Power BI than you are with just CRM dashboards and reports. You can also mash up your Dynamics data with other external data. And you've got these beautiful dashboards here, and these little boxes here, these can be pushed back into CRM. So if those sort of two-dimensional dashboards that you're looking at in CRM aren't enough, we can kind of boost the way those are looking by using Power BI. In addition to better visuals and just cooler interface, Power BI can be useful for, say, executives that aren't in CRM, that don't need to be in Dynamics, but want to look at the data that's coming out of the system. So you could push data to the system, I think, using just a basic team license in Dynamics to Power BI. So maybe senior VP of whatever can look at data from the system. The other thing that's very cool, so let's just click on one of these guys here and expand upon that. All right, I don't need that. We have the ability to query the data. And sorry, that's not a very good example. So let's just go back to where we were and ask a question about the data. All right, so how many open cases do I have now? All right, so here's an example of just using plain English, how I can dive into my data very easily to get some answers that I need. And Power BI is very intelligent. It's going to learn as it goes along, and it's going to start serving up suggestions of typical kind of searches that we do, total number of escalated cases, etc. And so this stuff can be served up, fairly quickly. If you need help with Power BI, we have one member of our staff that is, I'm not going to say dedicated to Power BI, but they love it and I'm helping lots of customers take advantage of this solution. All right, so we kind of reached the end of the presentation. We covered, a few bases in respect to customer service management. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to move to the question and answer portion of today's presentation. We have one comment from Jeff. Power BI is the best. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, we agree. Thank you for that. All right, so some of these other questions. This all looks pretty cool. How long does it take to build this out? Um, that's really hard to say. So it depends on, the extent of configuration and customization. But I'd say a basic configuration for Dynamics 365 takes, 60, 70 hours, something like that. Again, until we know exactly what your requirements are. Don't hold me to that number, but I'd say that's a pretty good generic number. Licensing, is customer service included with sales? It's a separate application. If you have Dynamics 365 for sales, you're paying probably, in today's prices, $95 per user per month. If you want to add customer service, a dedicated customer service rep, you'd be paying $95 per user per month for that license as well. If you want one person, say somebody who spends part of their time in sales and part in customer service, performing both, you can buy the bundle, which is just another $20 extra. It's $115 per user per month. Now, just so you know, even if I have only a customer service app license, I can read everything in the system. I can consume reports, on everything that's going on in the system, whether that's generated in the customer service area or the sales area or the marketing area. So even though there are certain entities that you're sort of restricted to in respect to full read-write access with the individual apps, you still have, full read potential. How do we set up queues and escalations? That's a little above my pay grade, but you will receive a follow-up email, assuming that the recording goes right, with the link to the recording, and you can certainly ask me, for help, and we can talk about what the effort is going to look like in respect to your queues and escalations. Another question. How do this doesn't look like our system. How do we upgrade? So you may want to talk to your admin. You should have received at this point an invitation to upgrade to Dynamics 365 version 9. And your admin, if they haven't already, will need to schedule an upgrade. I think you're going to have to make a decision by the end of the calendar year. Don't hold me to that, but anyway, you should be getting some emails. I'll follow up on that information. I see who's asking that, and I'll follow up with you individually. Um, let's see here. No, hold on. I need to expand this so I can see it a little better. All right, so October updates. Yeah, so I don't know that there might be a public document available. I know that we got it. I don't know if it's partner facing only on all the updates for the October release. So I will get a hold of you individually. You know who you are, who's asking about the October updates. And just after I confirm that's a public document, I'll just either email it to you or share a link. It's like a bazillion pages, so it maybe easier for me to share a link to it. All right, so we're at the roughly the 45-minute mark, and we're going to wrap up. So again, if everything worked correctly, tomorrow you're going to get a follow-up email with a link to a recording of this session that you can rewatch, review, share with a colleague, anything you want to do. Again, if you want to talk to me directly because you got some needs around Dynamics 365 or even a question, won't cost you anything, give me a buzz, send me an email, follow me on Twitter, also on LinkedIn. Mark Avis here. Thank you so much from everyone at Dyne 365 Pros, and have a dynamic day.